guys, Billy Epperhart here, author of Money Mastery, where we talk about making sense of making money for making a difference. And so today I want to share with you really the core teaching of my new book called Money Mastery. And in here we have a whole chapter called the Xxx Factor. And the reason that I want to share this with you is today I really want to emphasize in the Xxx, that means 3 X's, I really want to talk about the third X of the Xxx Factor, which is really having a social and kingdom impact. I like to call it city and nation transformation. In other words, what do we have as resources in our life that'll really help us to make a difference in the world, and specifically for the kingdom of God? And so this is the new book. In fact, if you don't have a copy, I encourage you to get a copy. You can go to Amazon.com and download it, or you can go to BillyEpperhart.com and get an actual physical copy of the book. But really, today, as I put this back down, we're going to really talk about here the Xxx Factor. And so as we do that, I want you to, just for a minute, I'm going to do a brief overview of the Xxx. So here you see the first X that's on the diagram, and then of course we have the second X, which is right here, and then the third X. And the third X is where we talk about really having major social impact and kingdom impact. In other words, really seeing what we call city and nation transformation. But let's take just a second to look at this. The first X is basically the red dots represent your expenses. And so we're going to say as an illustration that you've, say for example, taken Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, or you've taken what we talk about in the Xxx on how to reduce your expenses and eliminate your debt. And let's just say your expenses begin to come down. This is your income. And we're going to say you took our Money Mastery program or read the book where we talk about you take value to the marketplace. You don't take time, you take value. And so in doing so, your income increases. We're going to, and we call this your job income here. And the reason that we have these numbers over here, we just took what the average American United States family would make and spend. And so we use this as an illustration that the monthly income is about $4,166. That means someone, a household income of $50,000 annually would equal to the $4,166 monthly. And most people in America spend more than they make. And how do we do that? We do that with what's called consumer credit. And so because of that, we actually have a higher level of outgo than we do income. We just keep building our credit card balances. So what happens is we're showing you how to farm the first X by reducing your expenses and by learning over a period of time to increase your income. At the bottom here, we actually have time frames, and it goes all the way out to 5 years here on the bottom. And so the time for some watching this may be a lot longer to reach, for example, the second X than what I have on here, which is basically at year 3, you reach the second X. So let's review it. First X, this is where most people who, for example, would take the Dave Ramsey course, they would end right there. And then they go, what's next? Well, what we really believe in is it's not just how do you manage money, but it's also how you make money. So let me say it to you again. It's not just how you manage money, but it's how you make money. And so what most people in America is they know how to earn, and some know how to save. So they know how to earn and they know how to save. But what they don't know how to do is they don't know how to make money and invest money so they can live off their money. That's what the second X is about. How do I make money? So the way it works is this, is let's say you begin to you manage your finances properly. And here on this gap that's in the first X, you now have money you can begin to invest. And so you invest it for the purpose of making money. So you pick assets. The 3 things that we talk about in the Money Mastery book are basically, number 1, we talk about real estate, investing in real estate, which is my favorite investment. Secondly, we talk about investing in your own business, how to build your own business and to cause income to come at the second level. And then the third is investing, in the stock market, and we talk about how to do that, everything from how to diversify all the way over how to concentrate. So we talk about both sides of that. But here's the point, okay? Get to the point. The point is, if I take this money here, excess that I have, I start investing it in assets that produce income for me. So an example of an asset that produces income would be a rental house that's actually having rent that comes off of it from the tenant, and the rent that I get has an excess on it. So let's say my principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and management is $500 a month, and my rent is $800. Now I'm beginning to get some green level, the dots, the green level income. And as I begin to take excess capital and I begin to invest, including the excess capital here, I start building my assets that are producing income for my life, and pretty soon my expenses have come down. And in the illustration of this graph, it's 3 years. I've actually reached financial independence here, right? And so I've come to a point where now my income from my assets is greater actually than my income from than what my expenses are. Now, look, guys, I know this is a little bit detailed, but stay with me here for a minute, because what we're really talking about is making a difference and making an impact. At the first X, we always encourage people to pay their tithes, right? To bring their tithe and also to bring offerings. We also do that at the second X. But when we get up here to what we now call the third X, what we're seeing is here there's this excess income that's coming in your life. You're spending here. But now what do you do with that? Well, now for those of you that may already be at the second X, I really want you to hear this. Those of you that are just trying to get to the first X, this is good for you, so you understand it's really at the third X, we're really talking about making a difference. How do you do that? You do that in two ways, okay? You take, number one, here you take all income that's coming to your life above what it costs you to live and be comfortable, and you give all of that 100% away. L.G. Letourneau, who was the founder of Caterpillar, he ended up actually giving away 90% of his income to the kingdom of God for kingdom of God purposes, and he lived on 10%. That's because his income here off of his company was so large that what he needed to live was much smaller than what he was actually making. But the second, so the first is giving all of your income above your what I would call your target living allowance. You give all of that income away. But secondly, you can also now start taking some of these assets and investing those assets here. So you're not only giving, but you're also investing. That's why this begins to go straight up almost, because you're actually using assets you're taking it. So for example, let's say you sell a house, right? And maybe a couple of rental properties you have. Let's say you make $100,000 profit off of those. For example, you could take that money and instead of reinvesting it, say in real estate, you could invest it. What we have here at Tricord Global and WealthBuilders is really an investment fund we use in Tricord Global for the purpose of having impact. For example, specifically as we're recording this, we are investing in a bank in Uganda for the purpose, literally a Christian bank, for the purpose of seeing city and nation transformation in Uganda. So you can take some of your assets, not all of your assets, but some of your assets and all of your excess income, for example, and invest it in something like that. And here's the beauty of it. This is the thing God's shown me, is the beauty of it. You can invest it and also make an interest rate of 4 to 8% off of that money that you invest. And we invest it, for example, in this case in Uganda in the bank, they pay us an interest rate of somewhere around 12%. And here's the beauty of it. That investment that you invested is different than the money you give away. When you give the money away, then it's kind of gone. You've given it away. But when you invest, say $100,000, we have some investors that are $500,000. You not only get the principal back, but you get to earn interest, but you're having an impact with those investments. Instead of putting it into the tobacco companies or some other type of company out there that has no reference or no frame of reference for the kingdom of God. And so what we're doing here is showing you how you can make a difference using the Xxx Factor. So I really hope this has helped you today, and I want to encourage you. In fact, if you've watched this and you understand that, I appreciate a comment or a like or a share to try to help us get the word out. And very frankly, if you know of people who have investment capital that really want to see to make a difference, they can go to trademarkedglobal.com, or you can go to WealthBuildersInc.org, or you can go to BillyEpperhart.com. And we can join together. We can really join together to make a difference in the world. So remember, it's about making sense of making money for making a difference. So I hope this helped you today, and let's join together, band together to make a difference in the world. Thanks for watching the vlog.